Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, I've got a bunch of juicy secrets for you, such as what happens if you manage to defeat the Eternal Empress's guards at the Red Throne, and how do you complete the Clocktower quest. Let's dive straight in and take a look. First up, I've gone through all 3 scenarios for the Eternal Empress, so let's start by taking a look at what happens if you obey. I'll let the audio play out in full, and I'll meet you near the end of the conversation.
Older than most worlds. It will speak to her as such, or it will suffer. It is but a narrow stone her eternity has given the Paxeltech to stand upon. It will not forget again. It deserves death, yet spits at the alternative. Her infinitude is too gracious, yet let it decide. Her permanence savors either outcome. She desires only to bring the Nunyatav back to the pen, to draw her people back from the abyss created by the Sundering. But the abomination bedevils her will. A horror, wretched in her sight. Let the Paxeltech face this dark spirit. Be not her bane, but her blade. Then the Paxeltech shall...
And that's it. That's the boring one. She's true to her word. You can leave, and you now need to go and kill the beast. So now let's look at the 2 juicier options. Next up, let's not listen to her lies and attack. But oh no, we're not very good at the video games, and we're dead. This is actually my favorite of the 3 scenarios. You find out that the Eternal Empress is a fraud. We awake to find ourselves in a cell, and we are faced with who we believe is the Empress. And it's revealed to us that actually the one we were speaking to who called herself the Interpreter, she is the real Empress. There is a hell of a lot of really good information and really tasty lore here, so I'll skip through this dialogue and let you experience it for yourself. This is definitely my favorite of the 3 scenarios because it's the only way to access this side area. There's a few optional fights, a bit of loot that you can grab, and then you'll find yourself back out in the main hallway again. Now let's see what happens if you're good enough to actually defeat her guards. Beating the guards can be quite tricky. I opted for the Gunslinger class, and I will let the fight play out here as I'm talking over it and try and give you some advice on what you need to do to survive. These 4 are absolutely relentless. So basically, as you see here, you just want your skills and your modifiers ready to go, and you need to kite them to the best of your ability, running away, popping off shots wherever you can. If you can whittle down 2 of them, the rest of the fight should be easy. And when you go back, the Empress, disguising herself as the Interpreter, is just like, oh, yay, you passed my test, well done, you bloody arse. So at this point, it then basically just goes back to the first scenario, and we are asked to go and kill the beast. Definitely not worth the reward. After looking at all 3 scenarios, honestly, I advise just doing what she says and obeying, because that way you don't miss out on the quest, and you don't have to deal with that horrendously awful and very unrewarding fight. Next up, I'm going to show you how to grab the charm behind the big bird that you see up this tree trunk in Yeisha. The answer is unfortunately a little bit underwhelming. You kind of just have to wait. There's a bit of dispute among the community as to what triggers the bird to leave, whether it's a boss or a quest. I actually believe it's time sensitive because the developers have clarified some secrets you simply just have to wait. So check back here periodically, eventually the bird will be gone and you can grab the Kuri charm. Simple as that for this one. Next up, let me show you how to traverse down this big hole in the Spectrum Nexus. Don't jump down that big hole in the middle. Run over to the edge here and drop down here. Now carefully follow me down the platforms so that you can safely reach the bottom. Come around the right hand side on this one, and then once you get here you can jump over into the middle. From here, this will allow you to grab the constant variable ring, but there is something even more important down here. As you open the door and go through into this room, it takes me a few seconds to figure it out, but you can interact with this object in the middle. Don't just try and jump into it like I did. Once you do this, you will be thrown somewhere completely different and immediately into a boss fight. The boss itself isn't the hardest thing in the world. The primary reason I'm showing you this tip is to make sure that you are very close to the boss when it dies, because you will only have a few seconds to grab the loot, and it does drop a corrupted crystal, which are very, very rare, along with a few other bits of missable loot. And as far as I can see, there ain't no way to get back there. So make sure you grab it before it throws you out. I've got a few other secrets to show you, but let's finally talk about the Clocktower quest. As with most quests in this game, you can approach almost any step in any order you want, but at the very least you will need to have reached the Clocktower in Morrow Parish, and also the small side area called the Lamarck District. From the Hudas clock stone right here, we now need to see the time on the clock. You can kind of see it from here, but let me reposition myself to try and make it a bit more obvious. Now, don't worry if you can't see it, because I believe it is the same in every person's playthrough, and that is 17 minutes past 11. Now let's use one of the tips from my last video, and death travel to the Lamarck District. And once we've fought through these enemies, we can head into the house, head downstairs, and set the clock to 11:17. Now we can grab the clockwork pinion. After some more death traveling shenanigans, it's now time to deal with the tower itself. Now let me leave in a few key moments of traversing up the clock tower, because it can be a bit confusing and there's lots of missable loot. I won't leave in the entire journey because it is quite long, but just explore every nook and cranny. You can grab all the loot and eventually find yourself at the top. And whilst I'm leaving in some juicy moments, this is a perfect time to say, if you're enjoying the content on this channel and you haven't already subscribed, it's completely free and easy to do so. Literally, all you do is click that subscribe button, and it really, truly helps me out. And thank you so much for doing so. Also, I've got a ton of new juicy rewards on the way for Patreon, including behind-the-scenes VODs, new merchandise, and personalized Season's Greetings cards. So if you would like to support the channel, the best way is Patreon, because they are very generous towards the creators, and it's a great way for me to give back to you as well. Now that that spiel's over, we are at the top of the clock tower. So let's pop that flywheel in and see what happens. So now, once you've popped the flywheel in and turned the crank, you will be able to loot the broken timepiece. All that's left to do is take this back to McCabe and see what she offers. This on paper sounds like a fantastic weapon mod, but I must admit I'm so set in my ways with my current build that I haven't used it yet. It doesn't sound like it works on bosses, but as it says, it creates a 6-meter blast which freezes all standard enemies for 7 seconds, and if you deal damage to them, it will break the time-lapse effect and slow them for the remaining duration. So really good to get you out of a sticky situation with lots of smaller enemies. That is it for the Clock Tower quest. There are 2 more things I wanted to show you, most importantly the Cathedral of Omens. I could explain all the different books you have to read and exactly how all the levers work, but what I'm going to do is just show you the solution. Here it is. Effectively, 2 of the levers control where the shadows lie, and the 3rd one actually spins the symbols around the floor. Make sure they match up like this for the door in front of you when you first enter the room, with the arrow pointing toward the left, and the shadows over the deer, the ravager, and the death symbols. There's another look from a different angle to help orient yourself, and with that you can loot the faith seed and take it back to McCabe. And once more for the second puzzle, this time the arrow wants to be pointed off to the back right hand corner of the room, with the shadows cast over the sun, the moon, and the ravager. Again, I'll show you from the front of the rooms so that it's more clear to help orient yourself. That is how this solution looks. And as we enter this room, you get a load of loot from these chests. That's the Cathedral of the Omens done. Just one more thing I'd like to show you before we finish the video. There is a seemingly hidden area that you can't get to right in the back corner of the Abyssal Rift here, just above the entrance to the hatchery. Now obviously this is procedurally generated, so it might not be in quite the same position for your playthrough, but just to help orient yourself, here is the stone for the Ascension Spire and where the Custodian is. So it's been driving me mad trying to figure out what might be up there, and eventually I found out you could do this. If you keep rolling through the fog, you can get through quick enough that you can pause in the corner here, wait for the build-up to deplete, and then roll through the last bit. And it gets you into this massive hidden area with a load more terrain to explore. And guess what I found? Nothing. It is literally empty. It was such a waste of bloody time. There is nothing here. Why does this exist? If anyone else finds stuff like this, please let me know, because this really frustrated me. And then, just to finish the video, I thought I'd jump down onto this platform and apparently it's invisible and I fell through and died. The end. Anyway, my friends, as always, if you enjoy this content, please leave a like, please let me know in the comments. And most importantly, all that's left for me to say is thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.